This is Magic and Metal, an urban fantasy serial by Rebecca Riles, read for you by text-to-speech technology. In this monthly serial audiobook podcast, I'll read a beta version of each chapter for you. If you love urban fantasy detective stories, then Magic and Metal is the podcast for you. Chapter 4. The next morning at headquarters, my skull pounded like a jackhammer in sync with the rain assaulting the glass ceiling. 3 floors of nature crammed between peeling walls and tech that jerked and twitched like a synth junkie. The ferns swayed in that fake breeze pumped through the vents, trying to sell the illusion that this place had a pulse. It didn't. This whole setup was as alive as roadkill on a hot day. Last night's tech overload was biting me in the ass. My skin crawled too tight, it tried to shed itself. I flexed my fingers, willing them to stop their telltale tingling. Another day of pretending I wasn't a ticking time bomb in a sea of clueless humans. Iris, I muttered under my breath, eyes scanning the floor ahead as officers moved like worker ants in a line to the stairs. I scratched my nose to hide my lips. Last thing I needed was naturally suspicious cops see me talking to my imaginary friend. Any clue why Driscoll wants me up here? I trudged up the spiral staircase, each step a metallic whine of protest. Like the whole damn building was ready to buckle, just like everything else in the city. My job, my sanity, all of it creaking under the weight. There was a brief crackle in my ear before Iris piped up, her voice clinical. Negative, Jax. However, recent events suggest caution. Your current stress levels... I cut her off with a sigh, sharper than I intended. Yeah, cool. Thanks for the health assessment, Doc. I reached the top of the stairs, tried to shake the feeling I was being hunted. I wasn't sure what pursued me this round, drones, my family, or Driscoll's cryptic summons. I wouldn't play the part of easy prey. Sorry, Iris, just on edge. Understandable, she replied, her tone softening. Your position is tenuous. I snorted, drawing a few curious looks from nearby officers. That's an understatement. Last night's fiasco hung over me like a black cloud ready to burst, and I wasn't sure how many more downpours I could weather. I walked into the precinct lobby, my skull pounding. Shiny tech clung to crumbling walls, while drones buzzed overhead like angry hornets. Officers swarmed, their ear cuffs blinking in sync with data streams that seemed to pulse right through me. The massive holomap on the wall glowed with crime reports. Sanction zones, red districts, all the spots where the police try to contain human and supernatural crime. My head throbbed. Payback for yesterday's tech overload. Stupid moth, meat flame. Tax dollars hard at work, I muttered, fighting the urge to torch the whole damn place. As I walked toward Driscoll's office, my gut churned like a storm-tossed sea. The nameplate on her door was a challenge. Senior Detective Simone Driscoll. I halted, a lump clogging my throat, then knocked with a confidence I didn't possess. Enter, came the sharp command from within. I slunk into Driscoll's office, like a mouse creeping into a hawk's nest. The place was all sleek surfaces and edges, daring me to smudge fingerprints on its perfection. She perched behind that massive desk, like a hawk on its favorite branch. Today's power suit was cobalt blue, her hair dyed to match. Even her eyes seemed a shade bluer, some fancy mod she'd splurged on. Half her paycheck must go to looking like she could buy and sell your soul for breakfast. The moment I crossed the threshold, those predator eyes locked onto me. I fought my instincts, screaming to take flight. Spencer, she said, her voice cold and cutting. Sit. I sank into the chair, the leather creaking like it had a personal vendetta against my ass. Make the suspect uncomfortable before the interrogation starts. The silence stretched between us, thick as congealed blood and twice as sticky. The precinct's decrepit ventilation rattled like a dying beast, but my own heartbeat drowned it out. Each thud was nature's own doomsday clock, ticking down to my impending disaster. I've been reviewing your file. Driscoll's finger tapped the desk, and like clockwork, a holographic display flickered to life between us. My file, front and center, my career, all neat and polished, right until my worlds collided. Her eyes locked onto me like a hawk spotting its prey. The walls of her office closed in, squeezed the air from my lungs. Driscoll's voice cut through the silence, sharp as a talon. 5 years as a runner, trainer status, solid performance. Until lately. That look of hers could have flayed the skin off a lesser man. I fought the urge to squirm like a worm on a hook. My skin crawled, an inferno raging beneath the surface. Every instinct screamed at me to let loose, to tear this place apart with claw and flame. I dug my nails into my palms, the sharp pain a lifeline to my humanity. One wrong move, and I'd be toast. Care to explain the sudden downturn? Driscoll's words dripped with venom, daring me to make an excuse. I was trapped. She was circling, probing for weakness, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And here I was, pinned like a bug under her microscope, praying she wouldn't see the scales beneath my skin. I stared past Driscoll, that night 5 months ago still raw. I charged into a crime scene, deaf to Iris's warnings. Uncle Oz's thug introduced my face to his fist, and I was flat on my back, staring down a gun barrel. But the real gut punch? Watching that poor bastard get his mind scrambled. His eyes went blank, and my stomach did backflips. What about the spare? The thug called someone, probably Uncle Oz, eyeing me like roadkill. Iris chirped in my ear, "Don't shift, Jax." No shit. 1 scale, and it'd be 2 against 1. When it was over, I cobbled together some lame excuse for the late drones, choking back bile. Some hero. More like the punchline to the universe's cruelest joke. I cleared the sand from my throat. I wasn't going to let her see me squirm. "Yeah, it's been a bit of a ride," I said, fighting to keep my voice from breaking apart like those crappy floor tiles in the station restrooms. "But I'm here now, ready to jump back in and—" "Spare me the platitudes." Driscoll sliced through my bullshit like a hawk, diving for kill. Her patience and my chances were wearing thin. "I'm not here for excuses. I need results." That edge in her voice, dripping with venom, woke the dragon in me. Not the results like last night either. I gripped the chair, knuckles white, my jaw clenched, tasting copper. The room shrank, heat rising, my skin buzzed, vision sharpening to predator clarity. For a heartbeat, Driscoll looked like prey. I forced it down, steadying my breath. This wasn't about a botched case. She was hunting for weakness. My heart thundered, somewhere between mouse and dragon. My fingers itched to become claws. 1 wrong move and I'd snap. The smart play? Stay still, weather the storm. But with Driscoll circling, that was easier said than done. Driscoll leaned forward, her eyes sharp, like a hawk that spotted a mouse out in the open. "I'm putting together a new task force." She let the words dangle in the air like bait on a hook, waiting to see if I'd bite. "Supernatural crimes." My breath stalled for half a second, as my brain caught up to the gravity of that. A task force dedicated to hunting people like me. Just brilliant. Fantastic. It was a trap. My hands curled into fists, nails biting into my palms. Painful, sure, but it kept me grounded, kept the beast from ripping its way out of me. For now. "I want you on it," she continued, oblivious to my internal war. "Probationary detective status. You've got potential, Spencer, but you need to prove yourself." My jaw clench, teeth grinding like tectonic plates, ready to unleash an earthquake. A promotion? To detective? It was the brass ring I'd been reaching for, now dangling over a pit so deep I couldn't see the bottom. My pulse thundered in my ears, a primal drumbeat warning of danger. I forced my face into a mask of calm, but beneath the surface, my thoughts swarmed like hornets, stinging with every possibility, every hidden trap. The air in Driscoll's office was thick, oppressive, a predator's lair, where 1 wrong move was game over. "I'm honored, detective," I managed, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. My fingers twitched, wanting to curl into fists, to lash out at the invisible noose tightening around my neck. Instead, I met her gaze, refusing to flinch as those hawk-like eyes bore into me. "But you're offering me a promotion after criticizing my performance?" The unasked question hung in the air between us, a card thrown down in a game where I didn't know all the rules. A ghost of a smile flickered across Driscoll's face, there and gone, like lightning in a storm. My muscles tensed, coiling tight as a cornered snake. "You've got good instincts," she purred, her words dripping venom, plus solid knowledge of dragon magic and underworld contacts. The pause before underworld hung in the air like the moment before a predator strikes. My jaw clenched, teeth grinding as I fought to keep my expression neutral. Driscoll's eyes narrowed, probing for weakness like a hawk circling its prey. "And a knack for sniffing out the unusual," she continued, her gaze boring into me. "I think you could be an asset to this team." My stomach churned, acid rising in my throat. The walls of her office seemed to close in, trapping me between two worlds about to collide. How much did she know? I dug my nails into my palms, the sharp pain anchoring me to my human form. Before I could respond, Driscoll rose and walked around her desk, as if pulled by an invisible thread, opening her door and gesturing for me to follow her into the busy precinct. I could sense the underlying currents of power weaving through the precinct as other officers and detectives hung around, waiting for something to break. I tensed as the door hissed open, my hackles rising before I even turned. Davies strode in like she owned the place, all polished edges and crisp lines. Gone was the eager rookie I'd trained. In her place stood a cop coming into her own. She swept the room, missing nothing. The navy suit she wore screamed, "Professional." My stomach churned, a mix of pride and something darker. Part of me wanted to bare my teeth, to remind her who'd taught her to hunt. But another part, hell, it was hard not to puff up with a bit of pride. She'd learned well, maybe too well. One day, those keen eyes might turn on me, sniffing out my secrets. Perfect timing," Driscoll said casually, as if we weren't staring at a man caught in a grasp he couldn't escape. "I had Davies bring in our first catch, unlicensed and unregistered magic user, caught working as a therapist. A man, an unlicensed magic user, handcuffed, sweating bullets, eyes darting around the space, panic evident in every strain of his body. The acrid stench of fear rolled off him in waves, thick enough to cut. My stomach knotted. A tremor ran through my hands. I jammed them in my pockets, praying Driscoll didn't notice. That poor bastard was me unmasked. One misstep, one wrong twitch, and I'd be the one in cuffs, pleading with dragon eyes. The weight of my secrets pressed down, threatening to crush me. I was a wolf in sheep's clothing, surrounded by hunters who'd gut me without hesitation if they knew what lurked beneath my skin. "What do you say, Spencer?" she asked, her voice charged and demanding as a police shock stick. "Ready to join the hunt?" As I struggled to maintain my composure, my mind drifted back to yesterday's crime scene. A young girl who had suffered an unspeakable fate. Her lifeless body, sprawled on the pavement, those fake dragon lenses, staring blankly at the night sky. There was something more to her case than met the eye. If I took this promotion, I could uncover the truth. I thought of the handcuffed man, fear pouring off him like sweat. I thought of the other supernaturals, trying to live their lives while some in this very precinct hunted them down. My own dragon roots, hidden beneath layers of flesh and bone, were part of me but deemed dangerous by others. This promotion, it was a golden key to unlock doors I'd only peered through before. But keys work both ways. They can lock you inside. I could slip on camouflage to swim with the sharks. One wrong move, one hint of my true scent, and I'd be torn apart. But if I played it right, I could redirect the hunt, lead them away from the innocent prey caught in their crosshairs. My chest tightened, a caged animal sensing both danger and opportunity of an opened door. I'd be walking a tightrope over a pit of vipers, but for once, I'd have a say in where that rope led. A chance to be the unseen current in this cesspool, nudging things in a better direction. I locked eyes with Driscoll, her gaze a predator's stare pinning me in place, each breath a struggle against the invisible vice. Davies hovered by the door, a stone-faced sentinel, while the cuffed magic user quivered like a rabbit in a snare, his eyes darting wildly. One wrong step and boom, career up in smoke or worse. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end, that primal instinct screaming danger. This wasn't just another day at the office. This was the moment before the trap snapped shut. I made my choice. "I'm in." My voice was steady, betraying none of the turmoil within. "Let me know when you want me to start." Driscoll's smile was all teeth, predatory and triumphant. Immediately, she said, handing me my new gold shield. Welcome to the team, Detective Spencer. I reached out, my hand only slightly trembling as I took the badge. Its weight was both familiar and strange, a symbol of everything I'd worked for, joining a task force of everything I feared. I clipped it to my belt. I'd just signed a deal with the devil. Detective Spencer, Iris chimed in my ear, congrats on the promotion and the cage that comes with it. Davies caught my eye, giving a tight nod. Poor kid, if she only knew the shitstorm I just stepped into. Driscoll preened like a cat with fresh kill. The other officers buzzed around us, curiosity and envy rolling off them in waves. I flashed a smile sharp enough to cut. Try to contain your excitement, folks. A few hollow chuckles, empty congratulations. I'd walked right into the trap with my eyes wide open. At least the badge was shiny, because that's worth dancing with the devil, right? Detective Jax Spencer, half-dragon hunting his own. What could go wrong? Subscribe at RebeccaRiles.com/join. I hope to see you in the community soon to read the story as I write it. Thank you for listening.